In order to get this question right, you need to understand the two ways that we stress test applications. And before we even read the answer choices, I'll tell you right now, there's two ways to do it. We can do either static testing or dynamic. And the difference between static and dynamic is how we interact with the actual application that we're testing. So simply, when we're doing static testing, that means the application isn't in use or it's not moving. This kind of makes sense from the word, right? The word static means it's like standing still. So the application is standing still, it's not moving. And contrast that to dynamic. What do you think dynamic means? Yeah, the application is running. So an example of static might be just code review, like line by line code review, versus dynamic testing. An example of that might be fuzzing. If you don't know what fuzz testing is, that's basically when you inject the application into with random ones and zeros and you just see how the application responds. So with this context and thinking about things before we get to the answer choices, now let's go back to the question. So since we are randomly injecting inputs to see how the system responds, what do you think this is? Do you think the application needs to be running to do those injections and then see how it responds? Or do you think it's not running? It's definitely running. It has to be, right? We want to see how it responds to things. It's running. Therefore, the correct answer is dynamic. And actually, this is almost a perfect definition of fuzzing. And like I mentioned, fuzz testing is an example of dynamic. Now, there's one other answer choice I just wanted to call out here, which a lot of people picked, which is input validation. The reason why this is actually a tricky answer choice is it's actually the opposite of what you're trying to do here. Meaning, but it's related, which is why it's tempting. Input validation is when you say you want to protect this application, you block input, right? Before it gets to the application. You block risky input, so you're protecting it. In our test case, what are we doing? We're actually doing random injections. So we actually want to get those random injections into the application to see what happens. So in the real world, we would do input validation to block the injections. But in this specific stress test and testing of the application, we want those inputs to go through to see what happens with the application.